Boarding Actions in 10th edition is here, folks, and the timing of this compendium couldn't have been more perfect because you see, I've already been working on upgrading my Boarding Actions terrain into something that looks totally epic. In this video, I'm going to show you how I create a table that really shines. What's up, nerds? My name is Sam, and this is Big Nerds Wargaming, the channel where we paint, play, and revel in all things Warhammer and tabletop wargaming. So if that's your kind of thing, stick around, because in this video we're going to be taking the functional yet boring game mat included in the Boarding Actions terrain and giving it a facelift thanks to the magic of 3D printing. Before I go into the table build, I have to give a shout out to the creator at Fabricators Lair who designed this awesome terrain for Gothic ships that's not only compatible with the Games Workshop terrain, but it varies in style so you can have themed tables for your Necron, Eldar, Tyranids, Tau, Orcs, Space Dwarves, or human armies for some really immersive and claustrophobic games of Boarding Actions. And if you're interested in purchasing your own set, all of these designs are available for purchase at myminifactory.com. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. I just really like this terrain and I want to support these amazing creators who are able to capture the grim, dark aesthetic and make terrain kits that look really great, especially when you mix them with your typical Games Workshop terrain. So for this board, I already had all the Games Workshop terrain assembled and painted, which you may have seen in some Kill Team battle reports on this channel. Also, if you want to see how I painted up the walls, there is a previous video on this channel where I give a step-by-step guide on how I painted up the terrain to produce some great looking results without taking a ton of time, which you can check out here, and there will also be a link in the description. Since I had all the walls and bulkheads ready to go, I just needed to print off some floor tiles and mounting brackets for my board. And I'm not gonna lie, this did take a long time. If you're thinking about doing a lot of 3D printing, especially terrain, and especially in resin, I would recommend using one with a larger build plate. I recently purchased the Anycubic Mono M5S, which has a large build plate and is designed for speed. I started printing these tiles on my older, smaller printer, which was working out fine. However, I could only fit 2 tiles on the build plate, and those would take 5 to 6 hours to print. With this new printer, I can print off 7 tiles in just over an hour, which makes a huge world of difference because I needed to print a total of 85 tiles for this board, as well as the border and edge pieces. I also had to print off some mounting brackets for the tile board, which I just did on my filament FDM printer. And these are just structural parts, so they don't need to be high detail, and they help the tiles fit on like Lego bricks. To construct the board, I started with 2 4-foot by 2-foot hardboard sheets, which you can buy at a home improvement store. They're really cheap too. I got these 2 sheets for $11 a piece, and they're great for basing bigger terrain pieces. So taking these sheets, I measured them up with the cardboard mat and cut them to size using a circular saw. You can also cut these with a work knife by cutting along a straight line to score it, and then you can snap it. It's called the score and snap technique. But if you want to do like a rounder cut on this kind of material, I would use something like a jigsaw. I then took the mounting brackets and some PVA glue and started gluing them down on the sheet. You may have better luck with something stronger than PVA glue, but that's all I had at hand. And so far it's been holding up pretty well. So as long as I don't flex the sheets too much when moving, I think I'll be okay. As I was gluing the brackets down, I was also fitting the tiles in place so that I got the spacing correct, and since the PVA glue takes a little while to dry, it gave me some working time to slightly adjust the position of the brackets. After the brackets were glued down and the tiles dry fit, I left both of the boards alone for a while so the glue had time to dry, and then after a little while I carefully popped off the tiles so I could start painting them. This was pretty straightforward, but I used a couple cans of Rust-Oleum Flat Black All-Surface Primer, and I sprayed the undersides and the top sides of the tiles black. I also primed all the boards themselves in black so that they were all fully covered. After the tile primer was dry, I went over the top of the tiles with metallic silver spray paint, aiming for about 80 to 90% coverage. Once all the spray paint dried, I brought everything back inside for the final touches. Since I have so much to paint, I'm not going to be using my nice Citadel or Army Painter acrylic paint. Instead, I'm going to be using some cheap acrylic craft paint. So I take a medium brown and some orange and mix up a rust color tone, and then I stipple the mixture on the tiles using an old paintbrush. I try to make sure that the brush isn't too loaded up with paint, since this type of brush can hold a lot of it. I then carefully stipple all the tiles until they look appropriately rusty and worn. To take things a step further, I mix up a dark brown wash. This wash is just made up of the same brown paint, a drop of black paint, and a good amount of water. I just mix this up until it's very runny and do a wash on a single tile to test the consistency. This will be very runny, and the goal is to let the wash pool and sit on top of the tiles. Since this has a lot of water, it's going to take a while to dry, so I let this sit overnight. The next morning, the wash has dried all over the tiles and they look great. Now this is where I stopped, but you could do some more weathering here if you wanted to. It might also be a good idea to spray a matte varnish over all the tiles to seal the paint from the wash in place better, as these are gaming pieces and the paint will wear over time with frequent handling. The next step of this build is to make it glow. For this, I bought 2 LED TV backlight kits from Amazon, which are RGB, so you can change the colors, and I'll provide a link to the exact ones I purchased in the description. I was able to get a decent effect from just 2 lighting kits. However, in hindsight, I should have bought 2 more so that I could have even more light. I take the light strips and attach them under every other row of tiles for each board. This kit comes in sections, and each section has a connection strip which fits together very snug so they won't come apart easily. Also, they can display in different colors, so if I decide to paint up a Necron themed ship, I can have that iconic green glow lighting up the corridors. With the light strips in place, it's time to pop all the tiles on the board and bust out the boarding actions walls. Well, I for one am very excited to have an awesome backdrop ready for some exciting boarding actions games. Between the Boarding Actions Compendium and the recent White Dwarf issues over the past 12 months, there's more than enough missions to use with this terrain. There are so many missions available, in fact, it could be the only thing you play for this entire edition, so there's no shortage of variety. Expect to see the close quarters action in some upcoming battle reports and narrative campaigns on this channel. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up and let me know what you think of this terrain in the comment section below. Lastly, if you like what we do here on the channel and you want to support us, check out the merch store, there's a link below. Also subscribe to the channel so you won't miss what's coming out next. Well, that's all for today. I'm signing off. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.